What's up, interpreters? I'm John Peters. I'm with Envirosigns, president and owner, and it's fun to be with you today.
What's up, interpreters? I'm Jim Peters. I'm just wondering what's going on.
You're wondering what's up.
Yeah.
What's up, interpreters? I am Paul Caputo. I'm the executive director with NAI.
What's up, interpreters? I'm Heather Minier, your corporate engagement and partnerships manager at NAI. And welcome, Jim and John Peters. We're so happy to have you. First of all, Jim, it's so nice to hear your voice. I think that I probably met you in about 1996 and then left NAI in about 2005 and never forgot about your lovely voice. And so it's really great to hear you again.
It's so lovely.
When you started, when I met you, it was Interpretive Graphics. And I don't think that John was probably, I don't even know how old you are, John, but I don't think you were working with your dad yet. And so I'm kind of curious, John, when you sort of came in to decide that you wanted to work with your dad, and kind of, I'm just curious about the father-son business and how that was for you.
So I started working with my dad in 2003, which was not too long after I graduated from college. And, it's really been good. The nice thing is that my dad and he might feel differently, but I think we have a decent relationship, and it's fun to work with him. It's been a good thing. So I started with him in 2003. And we've kind of evolved over the years.
I'm curious to know, it's not just that you all are involved in fabrication, which I think is a special talent in and of itself, but the fact that you all are involved with the interpretation, I think is critical to the work that you do. I'm curious, and I'll ask this question of Jim, and then maybe we can hand it off to John. I'm curious about how it was that you came to be involved, not just in design and fabrication, but also in interpretation.
Well, at the time, I was evolving my own business. It kind of started marketing a specific sign material, and it just evolved in my thinking that we needed to broaden our base and really offer more materials than what we were talking about at the time. And then my thinking evolved to the point that there was a need for someone who could get involved at an earlier stage in the process, and that was design. But there were a number of design companies around, and I just felt there was a need for someone who could understand that we were really dealing with a communication product. And that led me to do some things to get involved in the initial thinking of a sign project and what the objectives of the interpretive project might be. And that's how we got involved in the idea of interpretive planning. So at the time, I know now there are others who do that, but at the time we were the only ones who had the capability to address the basic communication needs of a project and decide the concepts that needed to be communicated through a sign medium, and then organize it in a way that graphics people could create the graphics that would reinforce those objectives, the communication objectives. So that's how it started, and it's evolved, and John has taken it a few steps beyond what we were even thinking at that time.
What does that mean, John? How have you taken it a few steps beyond?
Well, I don't know if I guess we've taken it a few steps beyond. One thing that I think's kind of cool, just backing up a little bit, is I know that my dad, as he got involved with this idea of interpretive communication, he was looking for educational opportunities to learn about that. Perhaps getting a master's degree or something in interpretive communication, but that really didn't exist at the time. So I know my dad took some communication classes, but there really wasn't an interpretive communication degree or field available. And so through those communication classes and through a team that he put together, they were able to meet the needs of these public resource agencies and their visitors in order to communicate in an interpretive manner, which was new in the industry. It was new thinking, it wasn't a broad range topic and nearly to what it is today.
Well, it was simple because I was recognizing that we were dealing with a communication medium. The signs that we were doing were a communication tool, no different than a brochure. And so I looked into, as he said, the possibility of seeing what the university had to offer educationally. This would have been the University of Utah. And so I got involved in their communications department. And they were talking about organizational communication and promotional communication, all manner of topics, none of which matched what we were talking about as far as exhibits or interpretive signage. And I just came away from it feeling I had a better handle on it than they did, because we were actually selling projects and doing that work, and people were paying us to do it. So I took every class that they could offer that had to do with communication theory and classes that would in any way relate to what we were dealing with. So that's how it evolved. But as it's gone on, I would say the market has taken us in a direction where we're doing more basic sign planning and design and fabrication. We were the only ones at the time who could just meet with a customer and really determine and help them kind of understand how they could make signs a useful thing in their national park or their BLM project, public resource area. We had the ability to take it from beginning to end. And I realize clearly now there are lots of people doing various aspects of it, but I'm not sure how many of them actually do it from beginning to end, starting not with just developing design concepts, but really thinking through more what the interpretive objectives were.
Jim, you've been a member of NAI since 1988, about when we became NAI. And I'm curious, people now who are doing interpretation a lot of times don't even know they're doing interpretation. Many people don't know what interpretation is. Well, I'm kind of curious what your degree, if you went to college, it sounds like you maybe went to college, and what you did and when you discovered, your company was Interpretive Graphics, when you discovered kind of the field of interpretation, and how did that happen?
Well, I graduated from the University of Utah in marketing and management. And following that, I got involved in sales companies. And I had a good friend who had a friend, and they somehow got involved with this friend of my friend was a graphics designer, publication designer. And he had a friend with the Forest Service who asked him to help him develop some simple exhibits in what they call the Mobile Visitor Center, which was a trailer house up in Montana. And they did that project, and one of the friend's sons kind of fabricated the signs, so that just basically it was indoor exhibits in a trailer, and they had it at a high altitude pass, high elevation pass in Montana. And when they were through, they wanted him to do another, and then another. And it occurred to him, and my friend quit his job to do these things. And it occurred to him that when they did finish one, they were out of business. And so I was a friend and kind of a sales kind of guy, I guess. And so they asked me if I would help them with this little company. So I quit my job and we started doing this, and we did some really nice projects, really, but my role in it was marketing. I was the one selling the projects, and they were doing all the creative end. But then that grew quite a bit, and we did some pretty significant projects. And I sold a project in Saudi Arabia for signs in the first national park in Saudi Arabia. It was visitor center exhibits and signage and directional signage, all of it. And I was the one in that project who coordinated the signage. And it was a pretty big deal. And it took a year to do that project. And when it was through, I was kind of in the sign business. And as a result of different factors, this company split into 3 different entities, and we marketed it at the time as Exhibit Graphics Group. And my part of it was the marketing, another was the creative, and the other was the fabrication. And then that gradually kind of shifted because the fellow doing the fabrication needed to improve his cash flow. And so he wanted to spend a lot more time doing trade show exhibits because he could turn a project quickly and get paid quickly, whereas a visitor center project took a year and months to fabricate the exhibits. And so it was difficult to pay employees like illustrators and etc., and have those people on your staff over long periods of time. So each of the 3 entities kind of went their own way. And mine was a marketing company, and I was selling signs. And then I broadened it. That's when I got more involved in NAI, is because I saw that as a source to connect with people who needed signs. But since I'm kind of retired, I'm certainly tired. So John is running this thing. I report to him. It's hard for me to accept, but he's doing fine. But he's taken it much farther than I could have. So I feel good about all that. So,
I always report to Jim.
uh, uh,
Yes. But yeah, so we've, it's kind of evolved to the point where we've found a niche focusing primarily on exterior interpretive, historical identification, wayfinding, and commemorative signs. Content development, design, and fabrication of those signs. Really, but still trying to maintain and focus on ensuring that we're communicating effectively with visitors and helping, the interpreters reach their communication goals and objectives with visitors.
there's a lot of psychology that goes along with communicating through signs, and most people think, most clients think you just draw up some designs and that's it, but there's a lot more that goes into that, including, not the least of which is editing. Someone will send us a text and we've provided that service as just a part of what we do. So what we end up with by doing the editing is it helps signs function as a communication tool better than if you've got a text that's hard to read. You'll notice on lots of signs, you'll see kind of a primary text graphically, and then perhaps an illustration or a photograph that is reinforcing that primary concept. And then there's all kinds of secondary stuff that's on the sign as well. Most clients wouldn't understand that simple thing.
I'm curious to know, given your longevity in this field and in particular in non-personal interpretation, how you all feel the field of interpretation and non-personal interpretation in particular has changed over the years.
Well, there are certain aspects of it that haven't changed, but one thing that's clearly changed is the technology that's used for the signs. In the beginning, we were doing paste up camera ready art full size and shipping it across the country. I mean, that nowadays that's not even thought of. That's so old era that you can't imagine it. But there are some things that haven't changed. And I would say it relates to probably the job description of the resource manager, like a forest supervisor or a national park superintendent, or in their job description, one of the things is that they need to communicate. They not only have to preserve and maintain and protect the resource, but they also have to communicate with the visiting public about it. And that is an absolute constant that I don't think will ever go away.
One thing that I think, speaking of technology and how technology has evolved, I think that has enabled different ways to communicate with visitors. For example, a lot of the signs we do now will have QR codes that will take you to, websites that have the sign or additional information, or it will take you to a version of the sign in a different language or something like that. And I think that as technology has evolved, resource managers have been able to communicate with more people. So, I'm seeing a lot lately with like 3D printing technology and things like that. We're seeing several projects where people are wanting to communicate with visually impaired. And so we're doing braille or tactile elements, tactile three-dimensional topographical relief maps that will hold up in exterior conditions. And as technology's evolved, it's made those types of things simpler and more affordable to design and fabricate, which has enabled more visitors to be reached.
Gosh, when you're talking about things that have changed, Jim, when you were saying that you were doing a project for Saudi Arabia, what do you remember what year that was?
Long time ago.
Yeah,
Like
like
1969-ish,
right.
70.
Yeah, you're not
Right
like
in there.
emailing. You're not emailing. I mean, I can't even imagine what that communication looked like to get something like that done.
Well, I'll give you an example. I was talking about paste up camera ready
Mhm.
art. Do you know what a galley is? You know what a galley is.
I know what a galley is, but that was my, early on, that was my field getting into in design.
Typesetting.
Just as we were really starting to use it for computers or using computers for it.
Well, these signs in Saudi Arabia had to be done in English and Arabic.
Hmm.
And there was no typesetter around here who could typeset Arabic. So we had to prepare all that and send that information on a floppy disk to a typesetting outfit in New York who could run a gallery. And the type basically came off on a roll of paper about this wide, 8 or 10 inches, 12 inches wide, full size print. And then you, with an X-Acto knife, you would cut out the lettering that you want, the words, and with a waxer, wax the back of it and paste it onto a board. And now that I've got one little example of that kind of thing hanging on the wall here in the office.
What I love about that is it feels like, it feels so archaic now to say that out loud, but at the time probably felt pretty cool, pretty advanced to be able to put that on a floppy disk and send it to New York and get back what you needed.
It was exceptionally cutting edge.
Yeah, literally.
We got that stuff back and we couldn't read any of it. Read the English, but we couldn't read any of the other. And we pasted it all up, had somebody look at it that could understand Arabic, and it looked okay. So we produced the signs and shipped them to Saudi Arabia, and nobody complained.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, because you get that phone call like, oh, there's a typo. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was.
Were you ever able to see that project in Saudi Arabia? Did anyone go check on it?
Yeah, the fellow who was doing the creative end spent time. I just sold it. I'm
Yeah,
just the guy
the
that
sales guy.
put it together, but I wasn't the one to go do it. But I coordinated all of the signs, and that was a huge thing. And at the time, they were metal signs, anodized aluminum, because of the durability in that environment. And they had to ship those in a shipping container on a ship to get it there.
Amazing.
It is amazing. But now, you plug your computer in, it's all in, and the second you do, has all the bells and whistles. It's obsolete the second you plug it in.
So I can't remember, several years ago, right around when I came back to NAI, I think maybe 17, 18, 19, you acquired Envirosigns. I mean, that's who you are now. Will you explain kind of what happened there and why you acquired that business?
Yeah, so it was at the end of 2017 or the end of 2018? I can't remember. I know so we were Interpretive Graphics, and Envirosigns was looking to sell. And so we spent some time meeting with them. Oh, Envirosigns was based in Ohio, and we spent some time meeting with them, and we agreed to purchase that business. And their business model was pretty similar to ours, and so it made sense from our perspective to purchase Envirosigns. And for a while, we called ourselves Interpretive Graphics and Envirosigns. We knew that was a little long or a lot long for that matter, and cumbersome to say, but we wanted to kind of build on the branding and the established brand and marketing of both businesses for a period of time. And we felt like that served its purpose. And then we wanted to simplify the name. So we just went with Envirosigns with the kind of a little tagline that says Interpretive Solutions. We used to have, so it used to be Interpretive Graphics, and then our tagline was Solutions That Work. So to kind of pick up on that, we went with Envirosigns with a little tagline that says Interpretive Solutions.
We hadn't really run across them in a competitive way. We knew they existed, but it wasn't like we were competing for the exact same projects. So what we were interested in were the the soft assets. We didn't buy computers or desks or trucks or anything like that. We just bought their client base, their work in progress, their website, their branding, those kinds of things.
And yeah, so we didn't run into them a whole lot, occasionally, but we didn't compete with them too much. So it was almost a no-brainer to pick up that additional clientele.
Well, so Jim and John, this has really been fun to catch up, and especially for me, I've been involved. I guess I'm the latest comer out of all of us here to NAI because Heather was on the committee that hired me. Jim, you were already advertising with Interpretive Graphics when I started with Legacy Magazine, and obviously, John, you've been a part of that all along as well. So I'm the newcomer to the group at 22 years and counting with NAI right now. But I do remember, from my years working on Legacy Magazine, that Interpretive Graphics was always an advertiser there. You all have been involved in supporting NAI in a lot of ways. I remember the switch to Envirosigns because the ad on the back of Legacy Magazine, which I got to place every single issue, was Interpretive Graphics and Envirosigns had both logos on it for a little while, and now I know it's just Envirosigns. So in general, you all have been a part of my tenure with NAI for more than 2 decades here. So I will say that I appreciate your involvement so much. By way of a question, I guess I would ask, what is, and this is going to sound self-serving of me to ask it this way, but what have you gotten from your involvement with NAI? What does your involvement with NAI mean to you as an organization?
Well, I think that, number one, it enables us to connect with people and provide the services and the products that we offer, and hopefully make a difference in at the various sites so that we're putting signs. One thing that I guess proud of is that we have the opportunity to communicate the value of lots and lots of public resources, natural resources,
historical
resources, whatever that might be, that we're able to hopefully make a difference with the general public and help them value and appreciate what they have around them and have the desire to protect and preserve and educate others about that resource. And I think NAI has given us it's been a good partnership for us to connect with customers and clients and friends and people we've developed relationships with over the years, and to help reinforce all of that.
It's been a good run. It's been not only with clients, but like the workshops are a chance for us to connect with people who supply sign and other things.
Yeah, it's a great chance to connect with suppliers and people we've worked with over the years. So that's why we love going to the NAI conference.
Well, Jim and John, thank you so much for being here. It's just such a pleasure, and it really is such a great community. When I think about it, I've met both of your wives. John, now I've probably asked Jim about you when you were younger, and now I get to ask you about your kids, and it's really wonderful to continue this conversation and learn more about you and your business and your history. So thank you for being here. Where can our listeners find information about your company, about Envirosigns?
So the best place to find us is on the internet, envirosigns.com. That's the best place.
Jim and John, thank you so much. This has been really great to catch up, and hope to see you again soon at an NAI event or wherever we get to see you. And interpreters,
that's
what's up.
We want to try again or not?
Nope, we can't. That's it's a one take
One take.
situation. So
Otherwise, we'll be doing 10 takes.
Yep, exactly.